Okay, just a minute. I fill up my cup of water. Now, today is the last week of the Blender component of this course. You are going to be introduced to the Blender work cycle, okay? Or a very basic of how to create animation in Blender and what are the workflows in creating and break down an actions into references so that you can use it to animate your character. Alright? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the step over here in the process of breaking down an actions. Alright? Now the basic animation workflow is consisting of 5 steps. The first one is referencing. Very easy. As the name suggests, whenever you animate anything, okay, whatever the actions, you need a reference video. Okay, you can either shoot it yourself or you can take it from YouTube. Right? There are a lot of references on YouTube nowadays that you can use for the referencing of the animations. Now, just for the simplicity of this demo and for this assignment, we're going to concentrate only on the work cycle. Okay? But depending on the form of the characters, the weight of the characters, each character will work a little bit different. Okay? Fat people work a little bit different. Thin people work a little bit different. Alright? Old people work a little bit different. Young people work a little different. Alright? So that's why if you gonna take a look at the links over here, this is just one of many references available online. This is 100 way of working. So you can be free to pick any of the videos over here, any part of the videos over here, put them down in Premiere or Adobe After Effects, and then take screenshots of the poses. Okay, later on I'm going to tell you how to do posing or blocking. All right, but basically this is the reference. Okay, and there are other resources on YouTube over here. If you search for work cycle, You're gonna find this one we're going to use for the demo today. Okay, you can find other people who has done 3D work cycle as well. Reference. And there work cycle reference video, for example, this one over here. All right, and any more work cycle as well. Okay, so I'm not going to dive into the into all the reference over here. Okay, but after that you gather the reference, video reference, what you're gonna do, you're gonna put it in Premiere or After Effects, and you're going to identify the key poses of the actions. Alright? And in work cycle there will be approximately 5 poses that you need to understand. Okay, I will explain about them later. But basically, after you got that 5 poses, okay, you can go into Blender and then code the character accordingly, so that when you run the animation, it's become a loop. Alright. Posing or blocking over here. Okay, I'm going to do that later, but for now we're going to just focus on the and then you define the timing, or how long does it take for one action to take place. Okay, the timing over here you doesn't have to do, because basically when you film a character walking or person walking, or you see the reference video, what you do is just copy exactly the durations of that video. How long does it take for a person to raise the legs, for example, and then you multiply that by the frame rates. If you have 24 frames per second, you multiply the second to the frame, and you come up with a frame in Blender. Alright? And for the scope of this demo, and normally speaking, it's going to be 24 frames per second. Alright? Some other tutorial online, they're going to animate in 30 frames per second, 25 frames per second, but the most basic is 24 frames per second. Alright? And then next step you're going to do is tweaking. Okay? You're going to preview between these key poses. Okay? Is there any actions? Okay? Is there any transition between this pose which is not smooth enough? You're going to add in an in-between posing, in-between poses or twins to refine pose, basically. Okay, it's gonna be clearer in Blender later, but for now just keep this term in mind. Okay, and when refining, adjusting the animation to make it look natural. Okay, this includes overlapping, follow through, squash and stretch to the actions. I will talk about a little bit about this overlapping, follow through, squat and stretch. Now, I have a file in the past over here. Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this idea of animation fundamentals. And I'm going to just talk about the fundamentals that is related directly to the work cycle over here. Okay, so the first one is slow in and slow out, is in and is out. All right. It is said that when something moves in space, okay, when you take a look at the time, you take a look at the velocity, okay, or the v of the action. This is in physics, eh? It's going to be a graph like this. So the v, or the velocity of the object, is going to increase gradually and then reach a climax, okay, and then gradually reduce. All right, and then it's called slow in and slow out. Very important. So when the character walks or when the character do anything, there should be a little bit of slow in and slow out into the motions, or is in and is out. Okay, and this is, I'm gonna show you a video over here. So this is the motions with slow in and slow out, or is in and is out. You're going to see more frame being created at the beginning and more frame being created at the end of the motions. And in animations, more frame meaning what? Guys? Slower because of why? Huh? Not more movement, less movement. Okay? More frame being created, and imagine you running the animation constantly in 24 frames per second. If you have more frame of the character at one moment, it's gonna make the bones look like it's gonna start slower. Alright? See? More bones, more frame animations over here at the beginning and more frame at the end over here. It's gonna make the ball look slower at the beginning and the end. Okay? So basically this is slow in and slow out, or is in and is out. Every object in the physical world should follow this graph, okay, because we have physics. And basically it is stated that an object doesn't start with a constant speed but start very slowly, reach the climax over here, and then gradually decrease until it stops. Okay, so all actions should follow this animation fundamental. Now, and then the next one is squash and stretch. Okay, squash is a form flattened by pressure, bunch up and push together. Stretch complement squash and emphasize intensity vertically. Okay, squash and stretch. This is a breakdown of an animation from frame 1 to frame 11. And basically to animate this kind of squishy material of the objects, we squash and stretch these objects, okay, over here, and then over here, squash, okay, compress it vertically, okay, so that it looks like the object is made up of very, very squishy objects. So this is a technique that you can add into your work cycle in the refining process, because that way you're going to make the work cycle more personalized. Okay, and later on I'm going to show you the way to use bending bones to basically achieve this. Okay, we can do this, but for now just remember that when I talk about squash and stretch, basically in animation you can exaggerate. Okay, the character might not be very squishy, might not be very flexible, but in animation, a lot of the time you're going to see this kind of exaggerations. Felix the cat. So this is 1945, and this is the new Felix the cat, and you see that this jumping over here, okay, there's a little bit of squash and stretch over here, and as a result you see the character appear to be a little bit more cartoony. Alright, so this is or this one over here, you're gonna see it more often. Alright, the body is very squishy every time he jumps. It's gonna make his body bouncing up and down. Okay, so this is squash and stretch. Alright, so later on we're gonna do a little bit of that trick. Alright, for now I'm just going to walk you through all of this. Okay, and then overlap and follow through. This is very important, and this is basically, okay, take a look at the illustration on the right side over here. When you want to animate a character with clothes, okay, what it does, this animation fundamental, what it says is basically because the cloth and the accessory are made up of different parts or different material. So in an animation, the body should be the main objects that move, and at the same time that the main object moves, there will be many overlapping actions happening. Okay, not just the body moving, but the earring is moving. So that's one overlap action, just for example. Or in this case over here, the skirt over here, when the character jumps up, the main action is the character jumping, but the overlapping actions is the skirt going up. And we say the skirt over here is an overlapping action, but at the same time, the skirt over here follow through the main action. So the main action is the one that the character jump up, alright, over here. And then the skirt over here go up, alright, and then it slowly drop down. But because the skirt over here is made up of very lightweight material, a cloth, right? So it will be a little bit slower than the main body. Okay? So when you animate the character, pay attention to this accessory. Okay? And normally speaking, they will be a little bit slower than the main action. For example, when the head moves, because of physics, the earrings will stay a little bit 1 or 2 frames later than the main head moves. Alright, is that clear, everyone? So in the refining step, what we're going to do is we're going to pay attention to all these little details to improve the look and the feel of the wax cycle. Ồ đúng không? Yeah? Okay, and then other things over here, the arch movement, solid drawings, yeah. Okay, so that's what you need to understand in this. Okay, So I'm going to walk you through this 5 steps using a video tutorial, video reference from the source over here. Alright. So this is a video from YouTube. Okay, and there is a website called Endless Reference. If you search for this website over here, you're gonna see they have the website with subscription. Okay, unfortunately it's not free, but you can find other reference by searching of their names on YouTube over here. And then you have What Casual Male Dancer, a lot of free material that you can use from, and other action as well. But for now we're just going to concentrate on the walk cycle. Okay. The nice thing about this reference is, first thing, they slow down the animations, slow down the action, so it's easier for you to see. Okay, you see this, but in reality, it's actually slowed down by half. Okay, so the action over here is stop, is slow motion, so that it's easier for you to reference and break down the key poses. Okay, and then you have a view on the side over here and a view in the front over here, so that it's easier for you to position the bone in Blender later. Alright, so you're gonna find other references similar to this in their YouTube channel. If you search for walk over here, you can see female walks. Alright, and just to talk a little bit about the difference between male and female, you're gonna see that when a female walks, the area around the hips over here move more than the male. Okay, because of the anatomy. Alright, this bone in the women is bigger than men, and as a result the walk cycle should be different as well. Alright, so today what I'm trying to do with this lecture is to give you an understanding of how to break down animations, a reference into animations. Alright, posing or blocking over here, we're going to aim for the clear silhouette. Okay, see, you're going to scroll through all of the videos. If you put it in Premiere, it's right arrow. You're going to press one by one frame, and you're going to choose a pose which satisfies this two criteria: clear silhouette, so you should be able to see clearly the actions. Okay, the side view and in front view. Okay, and then extremity. What does it mean? It means that a key pose over here is should be at the beginning, should be divided into the beginning and the end of an action. Okay, that's basically the C pose. So you have an action of raising the arm over here. The first keyframe should be when the character put the arm over here, right? And then the last keyframe should be when the character stops the actions. Alright? And then you add a keyframe in the middle to smooth out the actions. Alright? So this is basically how you break out key poses. Key poses in animations. Alright? And I'm going to talk a little bit about specifically the case of walk cycle over here. Now, you have a reference over here which I have already done for you. Okay, and you are free to use this reference for the demo of this demoing class. Okay, and you can learn from the way that I break down this animation as well. Basically, in a work cycle, in any type of work cycle, whatever the pose, whatever the character, male, female, young, adult, child, anything, the work cycle can be broken down into 5 poses. Okay? Contact 1, low, passing, high, contact 2. Okay? What does it mean? Contact 1, the reason why it's called contact 1 is because this is when the toe bone of the character and the heel here barely touch the ground. Okay? So when you first wax, okay, basically the feet over here barely make contact with the ground. Okay? And then if you inverse this pose over here, you're gonna have contact on pose 2. Okay, basically after the character finish half of the work cycle, which is 1 step. Okay, because in a work cycle, if we divide it into 24 frames per second, it's gonna be made up of 2 steps. Okay, and 1 second is equivalent to 24 frames. Hold on, yeah. Because we running 24 frames per second. 1 second, normally speaking, for a person to walk, in 1 second you walk 2 steps. Okay, unless you're running, okay, or unless there's you are an old lady, it's gonna be a little bit slower. Okay, but you can define it by seeing the reference videos. But normally speaking, 1 second is 2 steps. Alright? And what I do here is just 1 step from the contact pose 1 to contact pose 2 is 1 step. Because when we walk, okay, this is contact pose 1, and then this is contact pose 2. When the legs step from the back to the front, okay, and the body weight change from the back to the front. Okay, you can see contact pose 1 is actually just an inverse of contact pose 2. Okay, and the numbers over here 1, 4, 7, 10, 13 is the number of frames in the animations. Okay, in frame 1 the character is going to look exactly like this. Okay, in frame 13 we're going to inverse the pose in frame 1. Okay, so we have exactly 1 step. Does that make sense? Yeah? And then in the middle of this pose, we have another pose, which is passing pose. So this is when the leg starting to move from the back to the front, and it's passing through the other legs over here. That's why it's called passing pose. Okay? And then in the middle we have low pose, which is when the character step. Okay, you're gonna notice that when we step, when we walk, the weight of the body is going to concentrate on the front legs over here. As a result, the whole body is going to be a little bit lower than the other poses, because here gravity pulls us down, but at the same time, because we lower our pose, we can have the momentum, okay, to walk forward, right? So that's why in frame 10 is going to be high pose. This is when we take the forces from the low pose to propagate our body forward. Yeah? Does that make sense? And this is the poses in front corresponding of the pose over here in front. Okay? So that you have a reference both in front and the side view of the character, because we need to pose the character both in front and side view. Okay? And in the 100 wax cycle reference, you're going to see that they shoot the character in 3/4 of the body. So like you see both the right arm and the left arm and also the shoulder. Okay? So at least you should have that kind of reference when you reference the kind of wax. Alright? And then over here, after I done with all the screenshots, I place them in Photoshop and make this kind of lines. So you're gonna see that in the low pose over here, the level of the head. You're gonna see that the level of the heads over here is a little bit lower, okay, than other poses. See that? And the knees over here is actually the most curved in this pose. Ồ đúng nhỉ? Yes, alright. And then in the high pose over here, the body a little bit higher. The highest point of the head over here touch the head level over here. And then I have a light blue line over here to see the level of the torso. When the character move up and down, how the torso is going to change. Okay? Because without this kind of moving up and down with torso and the head, the character will feel like it's just doing moonwalk. Okay? Because with gravity, there will be a little bit of pull to the walk of the characters. And also, you're going to see that over here, there's a little bit of toe bending. Very important, because if you don't have the toe bone in the rigging process, you won't be able to bend the feet, and it doesn't make the wax look realistic in the next step of animations. So that's why, even though you don't model the toe, you need to add a toe bone to the feet of the character. Is that clear? Yeah? So you're going to see that all the things that I talk about is going to make sense now, because I'm preparing you in the last 5 weeks for this step over here. Okay? They call it sáng soi chưa đánh chiều trời. Morning review, noon hit, and afternoon wake. Alright? Week 6. So that should be it. And this is just basically the breakdown of a wax cycle. Okay? If you want to do a customized wax cycle, different format. Okay? What I'm trying to explain over here is the procedure that you can follow, so that you can break down these poses over here and then place them in a reference for the next step, which is animations. Alright? For women wax, young people's wax, child wax, you do a breakdown like this and include that in the research document. Is that okay? Everyone? Yes? Just make sure that you understand what is contact pose, what is passive pose, so that you can identify them in the reference and the posing step over here. Alright? What is contact pose, guys? G? What is contact pose?
Contact pose is like when the pose like physically interact with the surface.
Barely touch the ground. Barely make contact with the ground. So that's why it's called contact pose. Okay? What is low pose? What is low pose? What is low pose? Huh? Hello?
Low body.
Hmm?
That's when we like our body up lower
Lower the body
yeah.
because of gravity pulls, and then we take the counter forces to push ourselves forwards. Alright? So that's just a little bit about this. So every breakdown of the what that you do for your character should follow this kind of template. If you have contacts, low, passive, high, or technical. Okay? And the reference lies over here so that you know what are the differences in the dorsal bone, head bones, etc. For đúng không? Okay? Okay, timing, I have talked about this. It's basically taking the reference videos, see how long does it take for the a watt to complete, and then multiply that by 24 frames per second. Okay, and you come up with the number of frames that you need to do for the assignment. Please note, if you use this material from this website over here, Endless Work, Endless Reference, okay, the animations or the action over here is slow motions. Okay, so when you animate the characters, you're gonna see that when you preview it on your laptop, it's gonna be faster because of 24 frames per second. But don't panic, okay, or don't try to slow down the animation by adding more frames. Okay, I want to animate on 60 frames per step, sorry, because 24 frames per step is the standards, alright? And this one is actually just a slow motion so that you see the action a little bit better. But the real action should be like this. Okay? Okay, so when you do the walk cycle, don't try to slow down the animations. Okay. Okay. Tweening and refining. Okay, we're gonna do that directly in Blender. Okay, so now I have introduced all the concepts that you need to understand about the walk cycle. Okay, we can go directly into the blend file over here, and then we can do a little bit of demo in Blender. Now, you're gonna see this demo file over here that I gave you. Alright, and the demo file over here, you can enable them. You can enable the animations tab over here, and basically this is the default view of the animations. Front view with material, and side view with the character posing over here on side view. Okay, this is a T-pose. And when you animate the character, remember to create a plane underneath the foot, alright, so that you'll be able to see if the feet are really touching the ground. Okay, because if you animate without the plane underneath, okay, you're more likely to animate the character to walk on air because you have no reference of the ground floor. Okay, so it's a good practice that you add in a cube, scale it down, or you can add in a plane with a little bit of solidifier, so that you have a plane underneath for the character to walk. Ồ đúng nhỉ? Yeah. And then for the demo today, we're going to start with frame 1. Okay, and I'm going to open up PureRef over here. PureRef. Okay, and I can drag and drop the reference file from the work cycle over here. So when you animate, just like when you model, you need always the reference. So I'm going to save this file over here and then drag and drop it to PureRef. If you don't find PureRef, you can go into C, alright, program file, and then find PureRef over here. And then mode always on top. Okay, and we're gonna start with the first pose in the action, which is the contact pose. So the task now is actually very easy, because basically we just pose this character using the bone to look more or less like the video reference over here. Ồ đúng nhỉ? And just to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to switch the right orthographic view over here to left orthographic. How can I do this, guys? How can I switch this to left orthographic? Huh? Yes, can do that. What is the shortcut though? Control 3 on numpads, alright? Or you can go into the view over here, left, okay? And you should be able to see this. Okay? And I'm going to introduce you to the keyframe and the dope sheets over here. Alright, so basically if you switch to animations, when you start with your model you don't have this mode, but you can find it in the tab animations over here. And basically the dope sheets over here is basically the timeline, just like in Adobe After Effects or Adobe Premiere. Okay. And the start number over here and the end number over here is going to define how many frames are there in your animations. For my reference, okay, I like to use the system of starting from frame 1 and end at frame 25. Okay, so basically in total it's still 24 frames, right? 25 minus 124. Other animator, they might start from frame 0, which is over here, and then they end it at frame 24. At the end of the day, the total duration is still 24 frames. Doesn't matter, okay? But I want to start from frame 1. My system or other people's system is 1 to 13 and then 13 to 25. Okay, so I start from frame 1 and end at frame 25. Okay, I type in here, and what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to see the reference over here and start posing the character in contact pose 1. Alright, so I can use the arm control bone over here, move the arm backwards a little bit, alright, and then move the legs forwards just to make this touch the ground, right? And then the legs over here, toe bone, bend it a little bit and move it in a way that it touches the ground. And then in the front view over here I can turn on the bones as well, so that I can pose the characters. Okay, this is the arm on the other side. I can click on the arm IK3 and then I move this one to the side. Just leave it like this, alright, doesn't matter. And then from the front view over here, I move it to the body, something like this, just like the contact pose 1 in front view. Okay, and then this one I want to find the IK bones and then move it to the body. Okay, now I see that the arms over here in front of the character are a little bit rotated outside, so I can use the arm target bones over here or the arm rotation bones to rotate this arm outside, something like this. Okay, and then this one a little bit curved inside the body. Ổn không nhỉ? Do after me, huh? And then the legs over here, this one, yes, the foot over here should be on air. All right. Okay, something like this, because the arm of the character over here is shorter than the real person. So only the we're gonna see only the hands of the characters on the other side of the body. And make sure when you animate, the arm AK bones over here doesn't detach from the body too far. Okay, because if you do something like this, it's gonna make the arm straighten out and it's look very strange. Okay, and I call it the wooden arm and legs symptoms. I have talked about this in the common mistake, because if you take a look at this in the biological body, when a character walks or the character do anything, the body part, it will not in any way straighten out like this, unless you want to do like a parade walk where the body has to perform. Okay, but otherwise all the joints, all the bones will be at ease. Okay, it will be a little bit relaxed, and there will be a little, as a result, a little bit of curve on the elbows as well as on the knees over here, a little bit of bending. Is it clear, everyone? Ổn không nhỉ? Yes. So when you animate, even though you can detach this bone, the IK bone outside of the body, you shouldn't do it, because it's gonna straighten out the arm like this. And later on, when you animate the character, you're gonna see that it's make the wax very robotic, because basically you're gonna do something like this. Okay? In reality, when we wax, the arms and the legs will be at ease, okay, relaxing, so it will be a little bit curved. All right. Pose the character as the contact pose over here. Front view and side view. If you cannot pose it in side view, move it first in front view, so that is easier. Alright? Still resolving trapezoid shape. You pose with the IK bones, because when you add the IK bones in, it's the one that controls the whole arm already. So you cannot rotate or control other bones in the arms anymore. Bend the toe bone. Ổn không nhỉ? front view. 3. A little bit backwards. See the characters. This one. Select the arm on this. Rotate. You rotate the palm.
Yeah, that's my fault.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay, don't scale them up. Just move the eye cable. Now, for this step over here, just fold the eye cable. Don't rotate any other bones. Just the eye cable and the target bones or the control bones. Okay? So you'll be able to control it. Ổn không nhỉ? Okay. For the knee targets over here, or the knee control bones, we can rotate the knee outside a little bit. Okay, because this is a one a man walking, and normally when man walks, the knees are a little bit outside. Okay, so we're going to rotate this knee target moves over here and here outside, just a little bit. Oh, no, yeah. If you can pose the character looking a little bit like mine, doesn't need to look exactly. Okay, but when you understand the basic of the pose, so the arm over here should be straight, a little bit straight. The legs here should be straight. Okay, and then a little bit of bending on the knees. Sorry, on the toe bone. And the heel over here barely touch the ground. Okay. I'm gonna show you without the bone, so it's easier for everyone. Okay, more or less like this. Ủa đúng nhỉ? Hello. When I say hello, what you say? Done?
Yes.
No problems. Easy to pose. Okay, can I move on?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, after you're done with this pose, what you want to do next is you go into keyframe or basically you tell Blender, remember this pose. I want to make this pose memorable. How you do it? You're going to click on any bones on the characters over here, press A, and then you right click, okay, insert keyframe. And you're gonna see under the dope sheets over here, after you're done with keyframing, there will be 3 little yellow dots being added into the dope sheets over here. And I talk about the view of dope sheets over here, so pay attention. Now, on the summary over here, this is the master keyframe. And then underneath the master keyframe, you have the amateur one, which is the system of bone that we have created. And under the system of bone over here, if you click on amateur one actions, you're gonna see all the name of the bones with a keyframe has been added. Ồ đúng nhỉ? So basically you telling Blender that, okay, this is the first pose in the animations, and this is the positions, the rotations of the bones that I want you, Blender, to remember. Okay, that makes sense? Yeah, so you see now over here, if you want to modify any of these bones over here or the position of the bones, anything, okay, if you click on any of the neck over here, you're gonna see all this information, locations, rotations, and scale as well. All right. Okay, and then we're gonna move to the next one, which is contact pose 2. Now, contact pose 2 is basically a mirror or a flip version of contact pose 1. Okay, because now the character complete one step basically. You see over here, this is first step, the front leg is in front over here, and then in contact pose 2 you have the front leg in the back. Okay, so basically what we want to do is we're going to copy the first keyframe over here by selecting the summary keyframe, because when we select the summary keyframe over here, we practically select all the keyframe underneath it. Alright, and then on the key menu we're going to copy keyframe, Control C, and then we're gonna jump to frame 13, 1, 3. So this is, if you type in any numbers over here, you'll be able to jump directly to that frame. Enter, and then key base flip, Shift Control V. So now, okay, you're gonna see that this is the contact pose 2 automatically flip for you, so you don't need to repose them again. And now if you click on play animation, this is going to happen. Okay, you have an animation, something like this. But it's not a walk cycle. It's just the character doing all of this. Because we lack the in between poses, which is low, passing, and high. Alright, so the next step is just adding all these keyframes together so that one by one is gonna contribute to make this walk a little bit more credible and more realistic. Ổn không nhỉ? Yeah? Okay, and then we go to frame 7. We're gonna do frame 7 first. 7. And turn on the bones. And we're gonna pose the character exactly like frame 7. Now, you're gonna see now Blender has actually posed the character, because when we have two keyframes, what Blender is gonna do is going to try to interpolate, or is try to calculate the shortest distance between one bone in one frame to the next positions in the next frame. And as a result, it doesn't make a realistic representation of the passing pose. Okay, so we need to correct it. Okay, the front leg over here is straight and it's touching the ground, so we put it down. Toe bone, let the whole feet of the character touch the ground over here in the passing pose, and then this leg raise up a little bit, something like this. Okay, arms, fitting to the body, and on relax. Okay, and we can see from the side view over here, we need the arm target to be a little bit outside. Okay, a little bit outside, something like this. And maybe the IK over here a little bit outside the body as well. Ổn không nhỉ? Alo. Okay. I is a shortcut for adding keyframe. Okay. Insert keyframe. Okay, afterwards we can preview the actions one by one. See, now it looks, the arms and the legs look a little bit more natural, but the actions over here looks a little bit what, guys? It looks like the character is still floating. Okay, because we lack gravity pull, and we're gonna add it in the low pose and the high pose. Easy? Yes? I guess so. How long have you been living here, Kyongan?
5 years.
5 years. You attend high school here as well? Oh. Where you from originally in Korea?
In Korea,
Yeah.
city,
CD.
Incheon.
Incheon. Oh. I've been to Gwangju recently. It was nice. Yeah. So I've been several times. Incheon. Incheon is a port city.
Yeah.
Okay. So you the equivalent of Haiphong city. Yeah. You know Haiphong, right? Yeah. The equivalent of Haiphong in Korea. Okay, now come back to this. We're gonna do the low pose. Now, the low pose over here because we said that the whole body is gonna be lower. So the first thing we do is we're going to lower down the torso bone first. Alright? So we're gonna type in here frame 4. Okay? For the torso bone, we're going to lower it down first. Okay? Move over here, lower it down. Alright? And then the rest we pose like this. Like the reference. This one a little bit up high. And this one over here behind. And front view as well. And after we done A, I, okay, another keyframe has been created. And now let's see what is the difference. Okay, you're gonna see that there will be a little bit of gravity pulls on the character now, and it's bounced up a little bit. Ồ, nó không vào? No? Control 3. The torso bone doesn't move. See? It stays the same. You have to lower the torso bone first and then fold the neck up. Alright? Undo that step. For this step, low bones, torso bone should be lower first. Okay? And then you pose the rest of the body. When I turn on the bones over here, you're gonna see it easier. You see the position of the torso. It go up and down. Yeah. Yeah. What's your name? Eli Tracy. Frame the classical. outside, you cannot insert keyframe. Done? Yeah? Done? Okay. Next step is just the high pose. So the high pose is basically the torso bone up. Alright. Frame 10. And torso bone up first. Okay, something like this. And then the IKR like this, and then the toe bone something like this, and front view gonna be something like this, and the arm target something like this. Alright, I and I. Alright. So afterwards you should be able to see something like this. Okay, and if we limit the end to 13 frame now, we have a loop of animation which basically looks something like this. Okay, at frame 13 you're gonna see this abrupt movement because basically we haven't flipped the animation to the other side, but you should be able to see that this is one step of the character being completed. Alright, 1 2 1 2, and it will flip it to the other side. We have a complete work cycle, 2 steps in 1 second. Đúng chưa? Yeah. And in the wax over here, notice very subtle bending of the toe bone, and then you have the up and down of the torso. Okay. With other type of wax, like people jump like this, torso bone gonna be higher. Okay. It's just the 100 reference. Okay. At the end of the day, it's all come from this basic work cycle. Okay. It's just the matter of moving, tweaking the rotations and the positions of the bones. Wash your face, alright? Monday a week, 6 only, half the way, right? How you gonna deal with the next 6 weeks? Huh? Okay, now we go back to 25 frame. Okay, and then when we have the half work cycle over here done, okay, we can select all of the keyframe on top over here in the summary, okay, using box selects, and then we move the keyframe to frame 13. Copy keyframe, and what we do is we paste flip to the other side, which is a complete work cycle. Okay, so now if we play the animations, we should have the character walking like this. Alright? Yeah? And you should not see any kind of abrupt movement or like any arms or leg which is behave weirdly, like there's a jump frame between them, or like the arm or leg suddenly straighten out. See, it moves very naturally. Okay, in front and in the back. And watch out for a sign over here on the statistic. Okay, the position of the statistic. Where is the statistic? In these positions over here, if you see the keyframe appearing and it's lower than 24 frames per second, it is because of your model and the texture is too heavy. Okay, you either have to find a better PC to work on, or you have to reduce the texture and the polygon. Okay, because if you won't be able to preview the animations in real time on 24 frames per second, it's going to be likely that when you render out the animations, the animation is going to be jittery, not natural, not smooth, and you got reductions for animations. Is that okay? Yeah? So watch out, I don't have it here, but if the computer is not strong enough, you will be able to see FPS, and it's lower than 24 frames. Okay? 6 additional head right away. Now let's see. straighten arm. See? Looks very weird. It's like the cats are doing like this. Yeah? Not natural. And then it's like the folding of the arm is too much. Huh? And it's very slow over here, you see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's all straightened, and then suddenly this frame is become curved or bent. Okay? So it looks like, and then from this frame over here is like moving, something like this. Okay? So it's not very, very unnatural. Because you have no reference, right? And you animating on instinct, and that's why it looks very weird, right? See this, and then you see this leg over here. It feels like sliding backwards. It doesn't touch the ground. Huh? See this? It's like, huh? Red flag, right? Now, let me see the animations. Turn off the bones. Turn off the bones. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Now. Okay? Feel like the cat is skiing. Okay? The toe bone is not bent. Okay? And then when the legs go back to this position, it should be more in the back. Here it's like Michael Lang. You know Michael Lang, right? Now let me see. Okay. Skiing. No. Let me see. Turn off the bones. Here. Okay, play the animations. Oh. Broken arm. Okay. Everyone, tips over here when you preview the animations. Turn off the bones over here, okay, so that you can see the position of the arm and the rotation of the legs a little bit easier. Okay, and preview in front view and side view to spot any abnormalities. Okay, what do I mean by abnormalities? Arm and leg straighten. Okay, because it's gonna make the character looks like a robot. Okay, and then see if the legs really touch the ground or it's just sliding. If it's sliding, check if you have bent the toe bone already. Okay, and then the torso has been going up and down. Yes. Let's see. Turn off the bone. This one. Jitter right here. Now, if you find any frame that is this is not normal, you scroll frame by frame to see any kind of abnormalities. Okay, by holding the right arrow buttons on the keyboards. And you see the secret for the smooth animation is you see the pose over here. In any of the frame over here, it looks almost the same, and the change between the pose is very subtle. Alright? It's not like in other cases. Okay? How can I share your screen? Right? Everyone come around here. I show you some Now, this is an abnormal. Can somebody tell me what's wrong with this one?
Why the hand battery like
Yes.
that?
Yeah. And then the leg is like this. Yeah. So we should check the contact pose. Contact pose. Okay. Alright. And frame 13. In most of the time when you troubleshoot problem with wax cycle, you trouble first with okay, this one can be a sentence, and then frame 7. Let's see what happens. Frame 7. The arm here is straightened, and it looks very weird for the pose, right? Because if I zoom in, you're gonna see the arm actually detached from the rest of the body. And when it's detached too much from the rest of the body, both it straighten the arms and the legs out. So to fix this, move this one down until you see a little bit of curve on the arm. Alright? And then in the passing pose, the legs over here should be on the ground ready to fit. So I'm gonna move this one over here. And forward up a little bit. Okay, and this one move it further to the back. Forward and down a little bit as well. And the arm actually on the other side. Right. This. Right. So 8, 9. Okay. New passive pose. Let's see the changes. Okay, so we still have a leg that is moving abnormally, but at least now it doesn't feel like sliding. Okay, and we're going to delete all the frame after frame 13, right? Just to make it correct. Okay, you see the leg first. Okay. And then we're going to do frame 7. Sorry, frame 4, which is low pose. The arm over here a little bit back, a little bit backwards, and not straightened. Okay. Turn on this one, move this to the body, back, and relax over here, touch the ground, elbow to the ground as well. Okay, remove the torso bone first, because it's going to be low pose. Oh, the word of the teacher has been returned to the teacher. Alright. Make sure we are frame 4. 9. Okay, let's register the pose. And 7. Remove the dorsal bone first. Dorsal bone first. Okay. Now. Yes. Now, when you scroll to the middle of this frame over here, you see this thing happen. Okay? Previous frame, whole leg is straightened. This frame is suddenly become curved. It's going to cause this kind of jittery movement in the rocks. We need to curve the legs over here by moving back the leg a little bit in the first frame. The first contact pose. Alright. And frame. So it should show yes, so here. What's going on? And already animation. So over here you're gonna see that the because this leg over here on 7, this leg in the back should go forward. Alright? And then over here change suddenly. 7. Stay on the end. This one is changed. So that's to lock it has to modify. Alright. That should be it. Okay. For the first group over here, I'm going to save the files. Last thing before you go, okay? After you're done with all the keyframes, key, and then interpolate mode, Bezier, alright? So that is smooth out or it add a little bit of ease in and ease out, and then easing mode, ease in and ease out, alright? Save this one. Now, for the first group, there was one part that I missed in today's session, which is rendering using the render template. I'm gonna send you the rest of the tutorial later. Is that okay? Yeah? Using the render template for the render template is basically the turntable template over here. You need to use this for the rendering of the animation because I have set the line and the render section inside. Okay? The rest of it I'm going to send you later.
I complete today, so can I check the extended now?
No.
No, okay.
Later than 10 minutes cannot. Now sit down, be humble. Quick, 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 quick.
Ra đây ngồi, tôi ngồi đây. Ra đây ngồi. Cái lúc này chỉ cần không học đấy. Chắc có, ra đây ngồi.
Go to the week 6 content and download this blend file over here. Chu Lan Anh, Đỗ Minh Đun Chỉ,
Nhưng mà em trả lại file số đi file xong em làm lại texture.
Ngọc Dây, Minh Vi, Minh Quân, Mỹ Ngọc, Minh Hoàng, Công Tiến, Huỳnh Ngọc Ý Nhi, An Khuê, Hải Anh. Where are you? Thanh Tú, Bảo Hân,
Yeah.
Hương Giang, Thái Anh, Khánh Linh, Quỳnh Anh, Mai Khuê,
Chắc có.
Ngọc Linh,
Có.
Ngọc Tâm,
Yes.
Phương Lu, Hải Anh, Nguyễn Sơn Hải Anh. Oh, this guy has been absent for a very long time, eh? Look,
Here.
Linh, Thảo Linh, Stacy, Minh Phương, Minh Thư, Phương Linh, Phạm Trần Phương Linh, Phạm Phương Linh, Yến Nhi, ơi, what's your name? Nam Phương, ok. Quỳnh Chi, Thảo Nguyên, where are you? Cẩm Thi, Lilian, anyone else who arrived late? Minh Phương. So many Phương and Linh hả? Phạm Minh Phương. Ok. Close the door Phương ơi. Now, a little bit housekeeping. This week is final week of Blender component. I'm so sad because the 6th week has already passed. Alright, half of the semester. How are you feeling? Yeah. Bullish or bearish? Huh? Bullish, bearish, or bearish, bearish. So bearish. Just a reminder. Next Monday gonna be the deadline. 6 p.m. gonna be the deadline for assignment 2. All right. Is morning supervise, noon hit, afternoon wait, sáng soi chưa đánh chiều chờ. Yeah. So prepare for that. All right. The second assignment in total with the first one is going to be 40% of your total marks. All right. And later on we go into assignment 3 and 4. By today, you need to communicate to me the name of the group with the list of each member and S number onto the Facebook group so that Hương can gather that and add it to Canvas. So by assignment 3 and 4, one person submits, the rest of the group have the marks. Unless there's 1 or 2 person doesn't perform in the group, and I have to grade them separately. All right. Now, is it clear about this? End of today, you need to communicate the group name and S number, the name of the people in the group as well, to the Facebook group. Post on it. Okay. So that we can gather. Ổn không nhỉ? Yes or no? Yes? Anyone who hasn't have a group until now, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Only 3 people. Now, if you don't have a group, okay? Group now, okay? Today, send message to your friend. Every group has to have 5 members. Only exceptionally, I allow 4 people, okay? But I want 5 people because this year we have 60 students. And if we increase more than a certain number of groups, I won't be able to give you enough devices and support for the performance in the assignment 4. So 5 people for the group, that's a must, unless 1 or 2 person drop the class, so we can have a group of 4. But otherwise, every group has to have 5 members. Alright? So do your thing now. And week 7, I'm going to check on the status of the group. Anybody who failed to form a group will be grouped together by myself. Alright? And they say save the best for the last, but in this case, you know what is waiting for you. Alright? So make sure you form your alliance by this week. Now, people who arrive late, what's your name? Who else?
Stacy.
Giang. link. That's it, right? Update attendance. Oh, last person. What's your name?